Hey kids, Flexing Teacher Weber here. Hope you're having a good day. We have been studying algebra for a while now, and we're going to move on to a more specialized topic in algebra, the idea of solving algebraic math equations systematically. And now what we did today is we just started looking at a situation. I asked the kids to solve this problem in any way that they wanted. It said the average lifespan of a grizzly bear is 25 years. This is 15 years more than the average lifespan of a cougar. What is the average lifespan of a cougar? And many kids had no problem with this. They very quickly figured out, you know what? A grizzly bear is 25 years. This is 15 years more than a cougar. So if I want to know the cougar's age, I can just do 25 minus 15, and that equals 10. And so I know the average lifespan of a cougar will be 10 years old. And the kids did that just fine. And then I gave them another problem. And I said at the Olympic Games, Canada won 86 medals. This was 24 fewer medals than England won. How many medals did England win? So they, bigger numbers here, but they very quickly figured out, okay, Canada won 86, but that was 24 fewer medals than England. So if I want to figure out how many medals England had, I have to take 86 and I have to add on 24. And 80 and 20 is 100. 6 and 4 is 10. So that means England won 110 medals. Perfectly fine, and that's awesome. What we're going to try to start doing now is we're going to try to start taking these situations and translating them into algebraic language. And specifically, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to these problems and we're going to see if we can identify what the unknown piece of information was and write a math equation in the form x plus or minus a equals b. That means we're going to have some unknown number plus or minus some number equal another number. So we're going to try to create some algebraic math equations out of these situations. Now, if you go back to the first problem, the unknown piece of information here is the average lifespan of a cougar. So we could say let x equal the cougar. And then anywhere in the problem where you see cougar, that's going to mean x. And then we go back in and we try to translate the algebra language, the English language, into algebra language. Well, it says in the problem, the average lifespan of the grizzly bear is 25 years. Okay, I'll start with that. It's not a very good 25. Try that again. 25 years. This is, very often is can represent equals. So this is 15 years more than the average lifespan of a cougar. Well, the average lifespan of a cougar is x, so 15 years more than that, more than would mean plus, would be x plus 15. And we already know the answer, right? We know that this value of x is going to be 10, and 10 plus 15 does equal 25. Now, what I wanted to talk to the kids about today is the idea of equality in mathematics. I also showed them that you can actually flip this around and write it the other way. X plus 15 equals 25. And then we started talking about equality in mathematics. When you have an equal sign, you can perform any number operation on either side of the equal sign, just as long as you do the same thing to both sides. So the idea in this question is that we want to figure out what the value of x is. So we want to make this x by itself. So to make that x by itself, we can subtract the 15 away. And that's okay, just as long as we do the same thing to both sides. So I'll subtract 15 from the other side of the equal sign. Well, 15 take away 15 leaves us with just x. And 25 take away 15 leaves us with 10. We knew that right from the beginning, but we're going to start applying these situations with algebra. And this situation right here is called solving an algebraic equation. Let's do another one. So this one right here, how many medals did England win? Well, that would be our unknown. Let X equal England. So that means anytime you see England in the word problem, that would be X. So the problem says, at the Olympic Games, Canada won 86 medals. This was is sort of a version of is, so equals 24 fewer medals than England, and England's X. So 24 fewer than X. Well, 24 fewer than X would be X minus 24. But we would more typically write that the other way around. We would say X minus 24 equals 86. Now, as we talked about in the last question, we want to figure out the value of X. To do that, we want to make this minus 24 go away, so we'll do the opposite of that, which is plus 24. And we're quite allowed to do that when we have an equal sign, just as long as we do the same thing to both sides of the equal sign. So I'll add 24 to that side. And when I work that out, minus 24 plus 24 equals 0, and X equals 86 plus 24, which is 110. So that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to focus on solving math equations in this form. Specifically, the form that I'm talking about is X plus or minus A equals B. So that's our focus today, is solving math equations. So let's take a look at a very simple example here. We have the example X plus 2 equals 7. So most of you probably know the answer just by mental math. You know that this X is probably going to be 5, right? Because 5 plus 2 is 7. But using this idea of equality, if I want to figure out the value of X by itself, I want to make that plus 2 go away, and I do that by minusing 2. And if I do it on that side of the equal sign, that's fine, just as long as I do it here. And when I work this out, plus 2 minus 2 makes 0, and I'm left on this side of the equal sign with X equals 5. Now, if I wanted to check this equation, I could write the equation down and replace that X with 5. And if my answer is correct, both sides of the equal sign should equal the exact same thing, and they do. They both equal 7, and that's what an equal sign means. It means equality. It means the same thing on both sides of the equal sign. This is called checking the equation. Let's do a couple more. Okay, 7 plus P equals 11. I want to know the value of P. I have a different letter for my variable, for my unknown this time. We don't always have to call them X. In this case, I called it the letter P. Now, I bet a lot of you, just by mental math, know that the answer is 4. But I want to use this idea of using equality to find the answer. So, if I want to show the value of this P, I want to make the P on this side of the equal sign by itself. The way I can do that is by making this positive 7 go away by subtracting 7. And if I do it to that side of the equal sign, I have to do it to the other side of the equal sign. Now let's see what I'm left with. 7 minus 7 goes away. I'm left with 0. So all I'm left with is this positive sign and the P. Well, I can just say that that's equal to P. And on the other side of the equal sign, 11 take away 7 is 4. So the value of P is 4. And if I check this, 7 plus P equals 11, and I replace the value of P with my answer, well, 7 plus 4 equals 11. 11 equals 11. Both sides of the math equation are the same, and they should be, because that's what equal means. So I know my answer is correct. Let's do another one. Y minus 6 equals 4. Well, probably a lot of you can guess that the value of y will be 10 because 10 minus 6 is 4. Let's prove it by using the equality idea. Okay, if I want to show the value of y and make y by itself on one side of the equal sign, I have to make negative 6 or minus 6 go away. And the opposite of minus 6 is plus 6. And if I do it to that side of the equal sign, I have to do it to the other side. Because equality means doing the same thing to both sides. Well, minus 6 plus 6 equals 0. It goes away. So I'm just left with that variable, that unknown y. And in this case, now we've figured out what y is. 4 plus 6 is 10. So y is equal to 10. To check that, I write down the equation again to check it, and I replace the y with my answer of 10, and it should work out. Okay, 10 minus 6 equals 4. 4 equals 4. Both sides of the equation are correct. I know my answer is correct. Okay, let's look at another one. N minus 8 equals 11. Well, what's the opposite of minus 8? I want to make the n by itself, show the value of n. Probably a lot of you have guessed that n will be equal to 19 because 19 minus 8 is 11. But the way I can show this is prove this is by making the n by itself on one side of the equal sign and making this minus 8 disappear. The way I do that is by adding 8, because minus 8 plus 8 equals 0. And if I do it there, I have to do it there. And now as I solve this, minus 8 plus 8 goes away, and n is on that side of the equal sign. On the other side, that equals 19. When I check it, n minus 8 equals 11. I replace the n with 19, my answer, and both sides of the equal sign should end up being the same. 19 minus 8 is 11, so both sides of the equal sign are the same. I know my solution is correct. Let's look at a couple more. Ooh, look at this. This time, the unknown number, the variable, is on the other side of the equal sign, but that's okay. We do everything the same. Now, I know that what number minus 10 will equal 17? I can just see by mental math that 27 minus 10 will be 17, but let's prove it. I want to get this x by itself on the equal sign, so I want to make this minus 10 go away, and the way I do that is doing the opposite, plus 10. And if I do it on that side of the equal sign, I have to do it on the other side of the equal sign. Now let's see what's left. 17 plus 10 is 27. And on the other side of the equal sign, I have x, and I have minus 10 plus 10 goes away. And I've figured out that x is 27. Let's check the answer. I'll write down the equation, and I'll replace the x with my answer. In this case, I said x is 27. And if it works out, both sides of the equal sign should be the same. And they are. So I know x is 27. Last question. Same idea. In this case, my unknown number is called the variable v. And I can guess here that 15 plus 17 will equal v. Well, let's see what happens. So I want to figure out the value of v. So I want to get v by itself, and I do that by subtracting 15. And I have to do that to both sides of the equal sign. Now 32 take away 15. When I work that out, I get 17 equals 15 minus 15 goes away. So all I'm left with is the plus v or the v. So v is equal to 17. When I check it, and replace the v with 17, I should get both sides of the equal sign the same. 15 plus 17, so 32 equals 32. That's a little introduction to solving math equations. I hope it helps with your assignment today. That's all for now. Flexing Teacher Weber, out.